Hello everyone and welcome to this webinar session on change management. My name is Dennis Braganza and I'm a part of the Vision Helpdesk team. So in today's session of change management, we shall be covering the following topics. First of all, we'll look at what is change management, then how a staff can add a change request. Then we'll look at the change request from inside, the stages involved in solving a change request. We'll also look how we can link a change with a CI, an incident, a problem, and a task. We shall see that how the dashboard and the calendar can be used for change management. We'll look at the ITIL automation. And finally, we'll look at the customized reports for change management. So first of all, what is a change? So change can be defined as an act or process through which something becomes different. So if you see this image over here, this is of the evolution of a telephone. So the first telephone which Alexander Graham Bell made till the one which we are using today, a touchscreen mobile. So there's been evolution of the telephone from then till now, and this is actually a change, and there's been a constant change, and that's why we have something better today. Now, what is change management? Change management can be defined as the addition, modification, or deletion of anything that could have an effect on IT services. So let us understand this better with the help of an example. So over here, suppose a customer visits a service center to upgrade the RAM for his laptop. So this is requesting for a change, and over here the laptop would be an asset. So first of all, the customer will be educated with the cost and time it will take for the RAM to be replaced. When the customer gives a go ahead, the company will proceed with the RAM replacement. This step is the change approval, where the customer reviews the plan, cost, and any risk associated with the change, and then gives his approval for the change implementation. After approval from the customer, the mechanic replaces the RAM in the laptop. This is change implementation. Once the change is implemented, it is validated and tested to ensure that the desired results are obtained. The mechanic conducts all the tests before handing the laptop over to the customer. The mechanic then informs the customer about the completion of the change. After that, the customer also performs additional checks to see if the laptop is working fine after the RAM upgrade. So the laptop is working fine and we have a happy customer, and this change has been implemented successfully. Now let's look at the other things in change management. So we'll look at how a staff can add a change request, the inside of a change request, the stages involved in solving a change request, and how we can link a change with a CI, an incident, a problem, and a task. So I shall be showing you this within the Vision Helpdesk software. So before we go and add a change, let me show you how the roles for a change can be added. So as you come to admin settings and you scroll down, under the user settings, there's an option of role. And these roles have been added as per the ITIL standards. And we have the role for release management. So over here, you can define who will be the creator of this release, that is, who can create this release, or the. I'm sorry, I went ahead. It's about change management. So over here, you can define the role for change management. That is, who would be the requester for change, the person implementing the change, the tester for this change, that is the person testing the change, the approver for this change, the person in charge of the coordination, the supervisor for this change request, and the change manager. And you can also define the other properties related to change management, like linking it to an incident, a problem, an asset, etc. All these can be defined over here. Then let me show you how you can add a change request. Now, this is the change management page where you get to see a list of all the changes. To add a new change request, you click over here and click on Add Change. Over here, you give a title for the change. Let's say change of hard disk for the server. You can add a description for the change over here. You can also add a proposed plan and also a business justification for the same. And then you can also define the properties for this particular change request. Now, these property fields, for example, the status, these are dynamic fields. There are some predefined options over here, and you can also add additional options as per requirement. So you can define the status, you can define the priority, the impact, the risk involved with this change, the category, subcategory, the item, the location, and also the change type, if it's a minor change, a standard change, a major, or an emergency change. You can define its urgency, and also the change plan date can be added over here. You can also attach a particular CI to this. So you just type in some keyword over here. You can add this particular asset to it. You can also assign this change to a particular staff member, and you can add this change request. Then as we look within a change request, every change will have a unique hash beginning with CHG. On the left hand side, you'll get to see the customer details, followed by the change details or change properties, wherein you can modify the domain, the status, the priority, the impact, the risk, and this can be modified from here. You can also define the due by time over here. On the right hand side, we have the change details, under which we have the description, the reason for the change, the impact, the rollout plan, the backout plan, the schedule date, and all these will be defined as we fill in the timeline. Now the timeline are basically the stages for this change request. So these are the 9 stages, which are the change request, reviewing the request, the change plans, technical assessment meeting, the change build and test, the implementation and approval stage, the implementation stage, the monitoring stage, and finally the closing stage. So let's take this one by one. So the first one is change request. So over here, you see these icons over here. These are the roles assigned. So these people can make a change. They can edit this change. This is the manager or the requester or the supervisor. So first of all, it will be adding a description. So a description is already added when a change request is created. If you want to add some further information, you can just edit this column and you can add the details of the description over here. Similarly, the proposed plan, the business justification, the reason for the change, and the change plan date can be added. And once these details have been filled in, you can mark this as complete and click on update. That will take us to the second stage of change management, which is reviewing the request for change. So again over here, the supervisor and the manager will be working upon it. They'll define the impact of this change. If there's a service outage, they'll define it over here. Then they'll also add a change review over here. Under this, they'll add the expected closing date, the build date, the test date, and the implementation date. And also role assignment shall be done under this stage. So you can define that who will be implementing or who will be the implementer for this change, the person testing this change, the approver for this change, the manager in charge of this change, the person who will be coordinating this change request, and the CAB user over here. Now this can be one, or you can also have multiple people added over here. Once you have done this, you can mark this as complete and click on update. That would be followed by the change plans. Now over here, you see this red star on the left hand side. These are the mandatory fields which need to be filled up. So let's fill in the high level implementation plan. So I'll just copy this. You can add in the details for the high level implementation plan over here and click on update. Similarly, you can add the same for a technical implementation plan. If you have a technical implementation plan, again you can add it over here with all the technical details. You can also add a resource plan, a test plan. A communication plan, rollout plan, acceptance plan, and also a backout plan in case something goes wrong. Then you'll finally add the monitoring plan for the same, and you can then mark it as complete. So with this we complete with the change plans. The next stage would be the technical assessment meeting. Now over here you'll be assessing the change. You'll be checking if there are any risk involved with it, if there are any approvals involved. This all will be done over here. So let's say the review for risk avoidance and impact to the environment from a technical perspective. You can mark this as yes or no, and you can ensure the risk involved. You can also add some technical information as required for this change. And then you can mark this as complete and proceed to the next stage. Then would be the change, build and test stage. So over here you'll be building the change and you'll be testing it first of all. So once you have conducted a test, you'll be reviewing it and you'll be supporting it with the required documentation. Once you have completed this stage, you can go to the next stage, which would be the implementation approval stage. Now over here, you can define the risk avoidance, priority and impact. You can define a schedule for this change, and you can also have a schedule defined for post-implementation reviews, and define if this is to be scheduled once or multiple times. And also approvals can be requested from here. So click on this and you can request for approvals from respective staff members. And once you have done this, you can mark this as complete and update this. That would take us to the implementation stage, wherein we'll be implementing the change. So over here, you can define the details like the implementation status, if it was a success or if it failed. And also if you want to execute the backout, if you want to trigger implementation monitoring, all those things can be done directly from here. Then we have the stage to monitor change. Now this would be a stage after the change has been implemented, and we monitor if everything is going as planned. So we check for success, failure or potential issues over here, and the results are documented. Once this is completed, we can mark this as complete and click on update, which would take us to the final stage, which is closing the change. So once we close this, the change request will be closed and marked as completed. Under change details, what all changes have been added in this will be reflected over here. So if you have added the dates over here or the backout plan, the rollout plan, they all can be viewed directly from here. Under the audit log, we get to see all the changes made over this change request right from the time it was submitted. So the changes made by different staff members would all be added over here. Then you can also link this particular change request to a CI, that is to an asset. You can link it to an incident. So I click on this, I'll just type in the incident hash or a subject, and I can link this to this change request. So whenever you link this to an asset or you link this to an incident, it would show a tab over here in which you get to see the details of the link. You can also link this to a problem. And this can also be linked to a release and to a task. Okay, I shall also show you how you can use the dashboard and the calendar for change management. So if you come to the dashboard, so we have all the modules listed over here, and under the change module, you'll get to see the details of the change. For example, there are 4 new changes, there are 5 changes open, and 4 are assigned. and you get a brief description of the changes over here. Then on the dashboard itself, on the top right hand corner, there's a calendar option. So over here, when you click on a particular date, you get to see all the activities linked for the particular date. For example, if there are certain invoices linked, or there are certain change requests, or certain releases, a task or a problem linked to it, they all can be viewed date wise, and you get to see the start date and the end date for the same. So for example, there's a change from old version software to new version software, and that is beginning on the 5th September till the 10th of September. So all these events would be listed in the calendar, and they can be viewed by one click. Then we have the automation part of change management. So if you go back to admin settings, and you scroll down to automation, over here we have ITIL automation. So you can add an automation rule for a change request from here. So over here you can define the event. So for example, it can be a new change or update your change status. That is in case of a new change request, or in case the status of a change has been updated, or the priority has been changed, or the impact has been modified, or in case of the risk has been changed, or in case of assignment of a change request, update of a change type, a reason of a change been added, or add a change impact in case a rollout plan is added, a backout plan is added, or in case of a change stage completion or change role assignment. You can define the event uh, as per your requirement over here. Then you can define the criteria. So for example, if the change stage equals to let's say change, build and test, in that case you can have this assigned to a particular staff member. You can also modify the properties of the change request, like the status, the impact, the urgency, priority, etc. And then you can go ahead and add this change request. So then this would be an automation rule added for this change request. So you can go ahead and test the same on your systems. Then we have customized reports for change management. So when you come to this reporting module from here, we have all reports under which we have module wise reports. So we have ITIL, under which we have the change reports. So we have reports for all change, for changes resolved by staff, changes grouped by status, changes grouped by priority, changes grouped by impact. Then there is a report for changes CI relation, change incident trend analysis. So let's say for example we want the report for all changes. You can define the duration over here. You can select the domain and generate this report. So you get to see the report for all the changes requested. This can also be exported. It can be exported as a CSV format, HTML format, and or as an Excel file. And you can also schedule this report to be repeated on regular intervals. Then we also have the option of custom report. So you can create a custom report for change in case you do not find what you're looking for in the ITIL reports. So you click on this icon over here and click on create custom report, and you select create custom report for a change. So over here you can define the creation date or the date duration for this particular report. You can define the domain over here, and you can define the conditions or the criterias over here. So let's say, for example, you want to search for a particular change in the open status and in the awaiting status. So we give you an option to select multiple options over here. Similarly, you can have the priority as high and high, let's say high and critical. You can define the impact, the risk, the category, the subcategory, the item, the change type, and also the urgency. And you can search for this. So based on this, you get a report for a particular change. So this was all about the change management module. You can go ahead with your questions. So Molina has a question for us. That is the calendar only for change request or is it also for task? So this calendar which we have, it's not only for change. It is also for incidents, for tasks, for problem request, for invoices. So if you click on a particular date, you get to see this. That so you see invoices over here. You see change request, a release request. There's a task added over here. There's a reminder over here. So this is a common calendar for multiple events to be added. So different modules can all be managed from the single calendar. Then Lisa has a question for us. If I don't want all the change flow, how can I handle emergency changes? So let me show this to you, Lisa. I'll go back to the change management page. So let's see if I open one of the change requests over here, which is currently on stage 1. So when I define the change type over here as an emergency, I just need to fill in this first stage, after which it will directly take me to the 7th stage over here. So I can directly skip the stages and come to the implementation stage over here and work over this. Let me just show this to you. So over here, if you see this, we have the stages for the change over here. So I'm marking this as complete, the second stage. I just didn't assign these staff members, just assign them quickly over here. So this will be a mandatory field since we need to have the respective people working on the particular rules. I can also define the cab user over here and click on update. So see, you see this, once I've completed the second stage, since I marked this as an emergency change, it directly took me to the 6th stage, which is the implementation and approval stage. So an emergency change will be something on which requires an immediate action. Let's say if a server has gone down or if something has got corrupted, it has to be replaced immediately. You can go in for emergency change and you can directly skip the processes like the change plan, technical assessment meeting, etc. Let me know if we have any further questions. So Lisa has one more question for us, which is can I back up old changes? So we do have the option in the tool of archiving the old data. So if we go into the admin settings, under system settings, we have the option of archive. So you can define the date over here before which you want to archive the data. You can select changes over here and define which statuses you want the data to be archived from, and then click on calculate. So it will calculate the size or the number of the data. So it's 5 over here, and once I click on archive, this detail or these particular change request will be moved to the archive folder. I would also like to add up that this change management is available in our enterprise product, which is the enterprise service desk. This includes all the ITIL features, which include problem management, change management, release management, asset management, and contract management. I believe there are no further questions, so I will end this session. If you have any queries in regards to change management or any other feature of Vision Helpdesk software, feel free to contact us on email ID sales@visionhelpdesk.com, or also on our Skype ID, which is vision.helpdesk. Have a great time ahead.